Hi, everybody. I'm KPRC2 Sports Director Randy McIlvoy, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mic'd Up with McIlvoy. For the next half hour, we're going to have some fun. We're going to dive deep into the University of Houston's football program with new head coach Willie Fritz, a veteran of over 30 years as a head football coach. And everywhere he's gone, his programs have won and done so at a very high level. Fritz, after 8 years of leading Tulane, including 23 wins the past couple of years alone, was announced as the Cougars' new head football coach back on December 3rd and has not slowed down since. With his first season at U of H around the corner, it's time now to chop it up a little while with Willie Fritz, learn about the man he is, his goals, and why he expects the Cougs to eventually become a power in the Big 12 Conference. We welcome in Willie Fritz. Willie, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Randy.
You and I go way back now.
Yeah, yes,
we got a lot to dive into, but thanks for hanging out. It's a new show for us, just kind of getting to know you. I know, don't you like that a little bit? Man, this has been, and on the intro, though, we were just talking about, you were introduced and announced early December.
Correct.
I would imagine it has not slowed down one bit. So.
It really hasn't. I did take a couple weeks off. Football coaches generally take their vacations early July, and we're back at it. Here a few days ago, we started back up again. But, yeah, you know, that first year, I'd kind of forgotten. I'd been at Tulane for 8 years. Yeah. I'd forgotten that first year and, you know, the whirlwind that it is and all the different groups that you go visit with and talk to and kind of familiarizing yourself with the campus and the faculty and the alumni, and U of H has got a bunch of alumni, so I've been to a lot of different functions, but we've had a great time.
I want to dive in, and over the next half hour we're going to be talking a lot about the process of taking this job, why Houston, and but I want to start first because a lot of people probably heard about your background, don't know all of it, but man, you've been at every level, high school, college, deep roots in Texas as well. You know this state inside out, and you know the guys that coach this game across the state.
Yeah, I know a bunch of the high school coaches. It was really neat to go back and reunite with these guys. I've been in and out of Houston recruiting the last 8 years, but really hadn't, been in Houston and the state of Texas on a daily basis recruiting since I was last at Sam Houston State. Neat thing about it is, you know, University of Houston has got a ton of former players and alums who are coaching in the greater Houston area throughout the state of Texas. And then my time at Sam Houston State, that's a teacher's college, and I actually taught a class called Theory of Football. So I had a lot of former students. I wasn't too tough. But I have a lot of former students that took my class who are coaching now all over the state of Texas. So it's been an awful lot of fun.
What's it mean to you when you see just that example right there of guys you had a chance to teach and have success at the coaching level and just doing what you love to do, and obviously they're doing the same thing? Well,
you know, the neat part is really when you have your former players that are out coaching. I was also the head coach of Blinn Junior College for 4 years, and I've got a bunch of guys that are coaching now, greater Houston area. You know, the kids that played for me at Sam Houston, a bunch of them that are coaching all over the place, and you know that really makes it. That's why I got into coaching. You know, you and I are both know Ron Randleman very well, and Ron's like a dad to me, and it's why I got into coaching. If I'd had a bad experience playing football, I probably wouldn't be a coach right now, and you know, so that makes me feel good that these guys felt good enough about the experience they had with me at these different colleges and universities that they wanted to make this their vocation.
I want to circle back to that, but you grew up in Kansas, right?
Yeah, from Kansas City.
You're a two-sport guy. I mean, it just wasn't football. I understand you're a pretty good basketball player.
You know, I played basketball and football at Pittsburgh State, and Coach Randleman is my college coach, and that's how I made it down to Texas. He took the head coaching job at Sam Houston State, and I came down as a graduate assistant for him, and you know, and I was so fortunate to get back in the. You know, in the great state of Texas, and you know, something that I was talking to somebody last night. You know, whenever you take another job, you're a little bit apprehensive about doing it. But the aha moment for me was when I took the job, had my press conference on Monday, December 4th, And the next day I went to a couple of practices with some schools that were competing in the state championship. And it just was, I was back in Texas, the great players, the great coaches, the organization, the structure, the facilities. So we're just very happy we made this move.
When you were playing two sports, were you a pretty good basketball player? What position?
I wasn't bad. I played point guard.
You're point guard, all right.
Point guard, and we didn't have great teams. We were real good in football and not very good in basketball. And someone asked me what I averaged. I told them I averaged a triple single. I really enjoyed basketball. Matter of fact, one of my older brothers he's approaching 800 wins in basketball. He's won a bunch of state championships in basketball. He's up in the Kansas City area.
And his wife as well, right?
His wife is she's I think she's over 700 now, and she's won a bunch of state titles. So we all of us got some type of scholarship to go to college and in some sport, and a few of us are coaching.
And your dad was a coach a long time.
Yeah, he was a coach for a long time. Yeah, he did your
at
homework.
Central Missouri, where you?
He was at Central Missouri before many years before I got the job. But so we were raised that way, and it was a fun family to be involved in.
What talk about the relationship, the coach? Coming up through the ranks, you were in the coaching family, and just the relationships that are built. You hear it all the time and we cover a lot of high school sports here as well, and you hear so often from the players, like, hey, this coach, I spend more time with him sometimes with my family. Yeah. You develop these relationships, and it's almost a responsibility as well. But to help.
It is. The thing that's tough for, my wife Susan is very involved with our football program as well, and you got to have a great wife in order to have success. I have no hobbies. I don't fish, I don't hunt, I don't golf. I work out a little bit, and I coach ball and hang out with my family. But you just the relationships are the reason why I got into it and why I continue to want to be a coach for as long as I possibly can. And it's, a day doesn't go by I don't hear from one of my former players or maybe a guy who coached for me at some point in time. And it's just a very gratifying profession.
Makes you feel good when you get those calls, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and you're trying to catch up, and sometimes it's difficult. I've got all sorts of guys here in the Houston area that, it's funny, we were at a reunion during COVID. A lot of the teams I coached played in the spring that year, and we had a bunch of guys from Blinn that were there, and I think we had 40, 50 guys that showed up, and we watched Blinn College play, and we got done. My wife said, God, those guys, are really mature and got their act together. They're just such good young men. And I tell her, those guys are in their late 40s.
Wow.
They better have grown up. We had them a long time ago. So, it's always fun to catch up with guys.
You talk about, you're a ball coach. You never even considered other hobbies. I know family's very important to you, and you spend a lot. You like hanging out with your family.
Oh, I love hanging out with my family. It's one of the reasons why I wanted this job at Houston. My daughter Lainey worked with you for a long time.
Yeah.
And here in Houston, my youngest daughter Brooke is just got married here a few months ago, and she lives here in Houston, and my son works for me. So it just was kind of a win-win to be able to do this job and be close to family. Yeah.
When you got into coaching, when you knew it was time to do that, walk us through kind of that decision and the steps. You're a grad assistant. You probably wore many hats at every stop.
I wore a lot of hats. I played for Coach Randleman, and I almost got into coaching basketball. Sometimes when I'm dealing with all the people I have to deal with, I was saying, man, it would have been easier if I had 12 guys instead of 120. But I got into coaching and finished my degree, and I went up and I actually coached at my high school alma mater. I'm probably one of the few guys who coached at where they graduated college, where they graduated high school, where they got their master's degree too. So I coached here at high school. I decided I'd rather get into college. Lucky enough to be a GA down at Sam Houston State for Coach Randleman, and then kind of took off from there.
And y'all still have friendship still there now?
Yeah, he really is like a dad to me.
But you were at Sam twice as a grad assistant?
I was there 3 times. Yeah. I was there 2 years as a GA, 2 years as a coordinator, and then
went back as head
4 years as a head coach. And Coach Randleman obviously was there every step of the way. He was a guy that really, wanted me to take this job. He knows what a sleeping giant the University of Houston is, and
no doubt.
I knew it too. And when it came open and they expressed interest, I was fortunate enough they wanted me.
I want to ask you about one of your stops was Berlin. It was your first head coaching job, correct?
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a program, I mean, you inherited it that was not accustomed to winning.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what their record was. It was not good. You got there, you turned it around immediately. You won a couple of national championships, what I recall. Talk about that experience for you and how that helped you grow as a coach to maybe prepare you for what you're in today.
Yeah, tremendously important in my career, is going there because I had to do everything. It was myself. We had 2 full-time assistant coaches, one of whom is still with me right now, and then we had a couple of student assistant GA guys, and so we did everything. I advised, scheduled, and enrolled student athletes. I was a strength coach. I taped ankles one year. We lined the fields. We
you had
drove
no
the bus,
choice, right? Because
budgets
nobody
else
were probably what they were back then.
So I got great appreciation for everybody's job. Know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Probably enough to screw them up a little bit. I don't know, but we loved our time over in Brenham, and I still hear from one of my guys is a coach here in town, Michael Bishop. Michael was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy after he played for me at Blinn, and so proud he got into the College Football Hall of Fame. I was getting ready to fly out and go to the ceremony, but it was on the same day I got the job at Houston, so I wasn't able to go. So, I still see a bunch of those guys are coaching this area, but we loved it over in Brenham. Yeah,
Blinn, and then, of course, Sam Houston. You built Sam Houston to a power, went on to Georgia Southern and Tulane. When you were early on as a coach, did you have a grand plan of kind of where you wanted to take
after
your career?
No, I didn't. We loved every spot we were at. Some people, I'm making a lot more money than I did at Blinn. I know that, but I loved it. The day-to-day operation at Blinn and Central Missouri and Georgia Southern, Sam Houston. We loved every stop along the way, and it just is a very fulfilling occupation, and you got to work at it. I go early in the morning till late at night, probably 330, 40 days a year, I guess. But it's a labor of love, and it's anybody who gets into coaching, you got to make sure that's really what you want to do, because I don't think you can be successful without putting in a lot of hours.
I totally agree with you. All right, coming up, we're going to take a quick break, but now we're going to dive into what's at hand, and that's the job at the University of Houston. When we come back, much more of my conversation right here in studio with U of H's Willie Fritz when Mic'd Up with McIlvoy returns. And welcome back to Mic'd Up with McIlvoy as we continue our conversation with University of Houston head football coach Willie Fritz. We knew the background as we spent some time there in segment 1 of the show, but now it's all about this new season, Willie, taking over at the University of Houston. And, I mean, first off, what a job you did at all your stops, but Tulane the last couple of years to build the Green Wave into a power. You take this job at the University of Houston, and going back to some of your comments of, you just said it earlier, too. It's kind of a sleeping giant here where you are in the city of Houston with recruiting, with new facilities coming as well. Why Houston, and why was it time for you to take this over?
Well, it just had everything in place. I think the one thing that Houston was lacking since they, disbanded the Southwest Conference was, Power 4 affiliation.
Yeah.
We've got that now, being in the Big 12. The location, you can't beat it. This is the epicenter for football in the world. Not the state of Texas. I'm talking about the world.
Has it always been that way? I mean, as coaching, it's all, you always hear about Texas, but Houston in particular.
There's nothing like it. There really is. I mean, Dallas-Fort Worth, they'd argue in a heartbeat that, that's where it's at. But, we're going to make this program a national power, recruiting the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. We've and then we're going to get into Louisiana, too. Houston has had a lot of success with Louisiana, with high school kids coming over and playing. They had a good basketball player, some guy named Elvin Hayes.
Pretty good.
From the state of Louisiana. And so we're going to recruit, probably 95% of our high school kids from those 2 areas, but most of it's going to be here, 100-mile radius around, the city of Houston. Great coaching. They understand hard work. You don't have to get into, explaining how to do drills. They've probably done those before at the high school level, and that's unique. Most states, I've been all over the place recruiting, and most states don't have it that way. So that was a big part of it. I love the vision and the things that our president has accomplished at the University of Houston. We're a Tier 1 academic institution. She's done an unbelievable job of raising the profile of the University of Houston academically. And, at the end of the day, a kid wants to get a degree that's going to help them the next 40 years of their life. So that's very impressive. We've got 8,000 kids living on campus. I'll bet 30, 40 years ago, Houston had 500 kids living on campus. We have 48,000 students, one of 6 college graduates in the greater Houston area is a U of H alumnus. So just a lot of pluses, and I love the conference. I just think every week you're playing someone that's going to be challenging. After I took over Berlin, part of what I wanted to accomplish was take over programs and maybe haven't done it on a consistent basis and get them turned around. And that's what we want to do. Houston's had great teams, don't get me wrong, but we want to do it year after year after year after year.
As you navigate what college sports is right now, but specifically with football, what's been the biggest, if you go back 5 years or so? I mean, all the attention right now is on NIL, transfer portal. Is that the new thing that you've got to find a way, all coaches have to find a way to manage? Those
are the two things that have really changed the game. Getting in, I was fortunate that we had the transfer portal when I got the job here at U of H, because they only had 6 high school kids committed. All right, so if I hadn't done that, I would have either had to recruit high school kids who might not have had the ability to play at the Big 12 level, or be short on scholarships. So we dove into it, took some kids, but that's not going to be our plan in the future. We want to be a high school developmental program, and so that's the only year we had to do that. I just think you want to have a culture where kids don't want to leave. They feel good about it. When they face adversity, they don't turn and run and go the opposite direction. They like it where they're at. Yeah. And I think by and large, student athletes are happier when they're at a place that's close to home. I always I tell the story about it. Tulane had a bunch of those kids from New Orleans that took off and went far away destinations. They thought the grass was greener, and they found out it was only green, and they wanted to come back home. I think we're going to have that opportunity to get kids who maybe go someplace else and have them come back in the portal and use it to our advantage so that they can come back home to U of H.
It's probably a deal where I would think it's not a matter of do you like it or not. It's like it's here, and it's right now it's not going away.
It's here. It's not. It isn't. I'm one of those people who doesn't try to figure out how to change the rules or how to improve them.
Yeah.
Someone else is making those rules. I got to adhere to those rules and adapt to those rules. And we've done that with the transfer portal. We're doing that with NIL, name, image, and likeness. That's part of my job now. And I got to go and try to find resources to help our student athletes out. Anybody who wants to help us, where's the camera at?
Right there.
Get a hold of Randy and he'll get a hold of me. But that's part of the game now. And we've got to do a great job of that to be competitive. And then you touched on it earlier. Another selling point that we have is our incredible facilities. People drive by that on Scott Street, they'll see it and they'll go, wow.
Coug Nation's fired up.
It's something else.
Yeah.
And we're going to have the top facilities in the state of Texas for college programs. We've got a great indoor, great stadium. So we've got it all going right now.
All right, you got a season that's going to start soon. Camp is opening. What'd you learn about this team during spring ball and the new guys coming in and, that you like moving forward as you open camp, get ready for the season?
I've been impressed with how our guys have embraced change, because it's different. How we do things, offense, defense, special teams, in the locker room, in the weight room, everything's new. I got a whole new staff in here, and they've been great. They haven't, challenged things or, we don't want to do it this way. They've embraced change. I think we got some ability. I really do. I'm going to pat myself on the back. I think I've hired a great coaching staff. They're good teachers. They do a great job of technique, fundamental, and scheme. I like our quarterback position. Donovan Smith, who started last year, and before that was was the player of the game in a bowl game at Texas Tech, is back. He's fully healthy. We signed a kid named Zion Chris, who I think is another Big 12 starting type quarterback. So we got two of those guys. I think we've got a great, stable of receivers, running backs, our offensive line, tight ends, our offensive line. We got to find some guys. We grabbed 5 guys from the portal, and we got to find a good cohesive starting front 5 for us. Defensively, we're going to probably rotate 20 guys. On defense. And a couple of them I brought over with me from Tulane. Keith Cooper from Dickinson High School came on over, and when I took the job, I had my first text message. I want to come back home. And we got Keith over here, a great defensive lineman. I think a pro-type guy. A.J. Holmes from Aldine Westfield up the road here. Great defensive lineman who played for him in the past. Kentrell Webb is with us now from over in Katy High School, Paytow over there. They played for me at Tulane. So we've got a lot of really good talent, but we got really good depth, and that's important early in the year.
I was going to ask you, is how changing leagues from coming from the American to the Big 12, is it you have a little, obviously talent maybe a little stronger in some areas as well, but depth is a key, right?
Big time, and that's probably the big difference. I think our front group and some of the places I've been at competed a lot of different places, but when you get to that second guy, or and the kicking game and those kind of things, and hey, I think it's very, very important. I've been at Sam Houston and Blinn and Georgia Southern or Tulane. Now here at Houston, it's hot here the first few weeks, and you better have some depth so you can rotate some guys.
I want to ask you real quick, Donovan, he was the injury, you held him out of spring ball. I think a lot of fans would love to know kind of where does he stand right now as you enter camp?
He tore his labrum, so he wasn't able to throw, but he could do everything else.
Yeah.
And he was into it. And Zion was into it. It was really neat to see those two guys competing, but they're both real smart guys, and you got to have that at the quarterback position, and maybe back a few years ago you just run some option and, a very simplistic passing game. But this game's complicated now, and both those two guys can handle the football intelligence part of playing football, and they're both talented and can move around. Donovan's a big guy, 6'5", 6'6", 240, 235, and good arm strength, good movement, good speed. So we've got two guys that are true dual threat quarterbacks, which is hard to find.
All right, you open camp. What's day one message? What do you tell the guys that open the gates here?
Well, one of the things is you're able to do a lot of things in the summer. So I see these guys almost every day. End of weight workouts, I talk to them. NCAA is allowing you to do a few more things football-wise during the week as well. So I see these guys all the time, but most of it's just 25 practices preparing to play UNLV on Saturday, August the 31st, 6 p.m., correct? And, just getting prepared for that and getting to understand the pecking order and the depth chart and going through spring ball and the summer workouts. Our guys know how I like to do things, but it's just really refining what we're doing, offense, defense, kicking it.
We got to spend some time with you in spring ball, normal workouts, but a couple of times, or at least one day in particular, you put on a mic and we were able to kind of go inside a Coug workout that you like to run and just the pace of the practice. You have a style that you've always believed in, haven't you?
Let's go. Let's get after it, man. Let's go. So now you got Lawrence Taylor out there, and he's like me rushing. And if he bluffs at the last second, you can get to go ahead and bounce back. Okay?
That's me. Yes, sir.
Come on, man. Let's go. I like the pace out there. I like hustling off the field. Some people call it old school. I call it the right way to do it. And that's how I learn it. And the programs that I've seen that are successful do it that way too.
All right, we're going to wrap it up next couple of minutes. Circle back to this job at hand, this conference you're jumping into, and you've done this a long time. Is this, when you had this opportunity, come to a Power Four, in your coaching career, do you look at it, hey, I want to tackle another big challenge?
Yeah, it's if you're fortunately, because of the players and my coaches and everybody that I was with at Tulane, and we loved it there at Tulane, great place. But there's something here kind of coming back home a little bit.
Yeah.
I just know that with the facilities and the location and the academic prowess of the institution, you can get something special here at the University of Houston. I love these kind of challenges.
It's a great conference, too.
Well, it's a great conference. It really is. And, I'm from Kansas City originally, so I grew up in, surrounded by the Big Eight.
Yeah.
And now it's a Big 12, and we just added, I guess they call them the four corner schools, Utah, BYU, Arizona, and Arizona State this past year. And all these schools have been very successful at one time or another. So there's no weeks off in the Big 12. It's competition week in and week out.
All right. Yeah, I know you're circling that date. You've had it circled for a while, August 31st.
Yeah.
UNLV, I know you want to walk out on that field and see those seats filled and get Cougar Nation.
If you haven't been to a game at TDECU Stadium, it is spectacular. I've played some games there when I was at Tulane, and it's a great venue. It's great parking. Great sight lines.
Yeah.
Sometimes
there's not a bad seat in the house.
Well, I've been to some of these stadiums, and there's a rumor there's a game going on down there on the field.
Right.
You're going to be able to get into it at every seat that you're in, and I think once you come and see the product that that we're going to show out for you, you're going to want to come back. Time and time again. So come on out, check us out.
Hey, it's been a great conversation, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I know a lot of people are fired up for this new season. You're the new head coach of the University of Houston Cougars. Willie Fritz. Willie, best of luck.
Thank you, Randy.
Look forward to covering it all season long, man. Great stuff.
Thank you.
All right, what a great conversation with Willie Fritz. His passion for the game for U of H is clear. Day by day, his culture is building, and the best is yet to come. And again, U of H opens its season at home August 31st. Go support them against UNLV. Until next time, thanks for watching Mic'd Up with McIlvoy. We'll see you again soon.